What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Brandon, back on Motor Nubs, and this is the eBay Budget Turbo Integra. The budget kind of went out the window a long time ago. This thing's like on its third motor, second turbo. I mean, the wheel fell off and messed up the fender. Like, this thing has been, no joke, cursed. And I hate to be like that, because it's not my first car that I've ever had and like modified. And they've all had their struggles and their issues, but this car, no joke, has given me more issues than like any other car that I've ever owned. So let me pop the hood, show y'all what we're working with. Last time you saw it, it was on the dyno, had a clutch slipping, was holding only about 260, and then she starts slipping. Well, she's got a new problem now, and I've already figured out what I want to do, so I'm telling you guys, kind of keeping the channel up to date. The biggest thing right now, the biggest thing that I want to do is I want to find me a 2500 Chevrolet, or even maybe a 1500, because I want to do a turbo, like, street truck, two-wheel drive, hopefully single cab. I will do an extended cab, but it has to be a two-wheel drive, and I really would like a 2500, so I get the 4L80E transmission and the 6.0 motor. So really want to do a turbo street truck, and that leads me to not have as much budget for this car, but I still want to drive this car and use it. And this thing keeps on blowing head gaskets. It blew a head gasket when I did the head gasket, I don't know, a couple months ago. So then I was like, James, you know what, you take the car over at J Mills Tuning, you do a head gasket on it. He was like, man, I recommend getting the block decked. He's like, we need to pull this motor out, disassemble it, get that block deck, put it all back together for it to be right. And I'm like, man, I just really, you know, I don't have the budget to do that to this car. You know, don't have the time, energy, I don't have the space. And he was like, okay, well, you know what, I'll do the best I can. I'll get the head done, and I'll put a Cometic gasket on it. We'll do ARPs, head bolts, all that stuff, and we'll just see what happens. Well, we did all that. We got some dyno time in it. I've been driving it around a little bit, I don't know, a couple days, and guys, it started to push coolant again, which means that it has another blown head gasket. Now, I can start it up. It starts up fine. It runs pretty good. The air fuels seem okay. But as soon as I go to get on it a little bit and push a little bit of boost pressure, it starts pushing water out of the overflow of the radiator. And then it starts getting hot because it's pushing water, and it's just a bad situation. So I was, you know, milling around with some ideas. Some people said, man, why don't you just drive it on motor and then concentrate on your turbo truck, you know, for your kind of new main project. And I'm like, well, actually, that'd be awesome, because right now, in about a month, we're moving into a new house, and I'm going to have a garage, so I have a dedicated space to work on vehicles at night, and I can take it apart and don't have to worry about, you know, the elements and rain getting on it, because that was the hardest part about working on this car is, you know, I'm just working outside. So what the new plan is, I'm going to pull this head off. Some people were like, man, you got to put a new motor in it, that deck, that block, whatever. Well, I'm going to try something. I'm going to pull this head off. I'm going to pull the turbo system off of it. That's going on to my brother's car, which I don't want to spoil that, but he's getting another project. All right, I moved inside the car. My neighbor came outside and walked over and was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just recording a video, no big deal. And then he stands there and proceeds to like try to talk to me for the next 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm running out of daylight, man. Hey, just let me finish this clip and I'll get right back with you. And he's like, oh, it's no problem. And I'm like, gotta love your neighbors, man. He's a cool guy. Anyway, so the turbo kit's not gonna be going to waste. We're gonna be putting it on my brother's project. He sold his GSR Integra, but he is back. He's got the itch again. He really kind of wants to find a Civic and then B-swap it, or find one that's already B-swapped and then put a turbo kit on it, because he's already had an Integra. Or potentially try to find a cheaper base model RSX. I told him maybe if he can raise his budget a little bit, get a Type S, just because of the extra power. But anyway, I'm going to be pulling the head off of this. I'm going to get the head looked at, but I'm going to essentially band-aid this head gasket, because it seems to only blow when we're trying to push power through this. So on motor should be more than fine, But I'm not only going to use a good head gasket, I'm also going to copper spray the junk out of this head gasket, top, bottom. I'm going to sandwich this thing together, put a little bit extra torque on the ARP head studs. If you guys have any other recommendations for trying to keep this head sealed, please let me know. I even am considering, after doing, like, you know, the little hot break-in or whatever, like get the motor up to temperature, letting it cool all the way back down, and then retorquing the head studs again. Because if I could get this car to where I can run and drive it on motor, then I can spend a little bit cosmetically, fix my fender, throw a cheap paint job on it. My friend Scott, he's got me some wheels and tires. Throw wheels and tires on this and actually drive the car. I want to drive this car so bad. So this can kind of be my little run around, beat around car in the meantime while I build the LS truck. And then maybe the following year, or maybe if the truck goes better than planned, hopefully, I mean, you never know, then we can come back and revisit this car and then build a new motor for it. But in the meantime, I don't want to let it go to waste, because this car's got a lot of potential. And right now, the only thing I have to drive is my diesel truck, which, if y'all haven't seen those videos, it's not exactly the most fuel efficient thing in the world. It's got a bunch of miles on it, and now I'm using it for work day to day, so it's always constantly full of junk. So having a second vehicle to drive around would just be awesome and just get me back into the mood. And I want to, like, I was back looking at like NA parts, and, you know, maybe doing like a VTEC head swap, and doing like a, you know, a full exhaust all the way to the back, and like it's bringing me back. You know, I want to tint my windows, and it's bringing me back to the good old days when like Honda stuff was just simple. You know what I mean? It's getting dark. You probably can't see me anymore, but just simple stuff. And you know, I finally put a radio in here, because if I'm gonna have a full exhaust where I can actually hear myself, then I can put a radio in, and maybe make it you know, good enough to where my girlfriend doesn't mind driving in it or riding in it with me, because when it's open downpipe and turbo, she does not want anywhere near this car. She's like, keep me away from that thing. But anyway, guys, I'm rambling on. I'm gonna go ahead, I'll fire the car up a little bit, and I'm gonna let it run. And actually, I haven't just let it idle. I want to see if it will idle and just push like compression or push out of the radiator while it's idling. Because last time I drove it, and I was boosting on it a little bit, it was pushing it out just sitting still. So I want to see from a cold start if it'll do that. I don't want to tear anything up, so I'm probably not going to go in for any drives. But yeah, sad day. The turbo Integra is going to be D-turbo for a while, but potentially not forever. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Alright guys, so I'm going to start it up and show you guys, like, it still starts up and like sounds pretty good and runs decent. Classic AEM's got the little number burnt out in it, the AEM wideband.